Hello, hello, and welcome back to the Tactical Businessman. My name is Garrett Bake. I am your host. I was trying to think of something cool to say, but listen, this is the cool thing to say. I want to share with you guys what I learned from trying to date my wife and trying to be a successful businessman. What those two things have in common. Now, I'd like to come up with some really cool, catchy headline. What dating my wife has to do with you getting more clients. I don't know. Maybe that works. You tell me. But listen, I want to tell you that story if you haven't heard it before. My wife and I are both from a small town in southern Arizona called Nogales. If you've been there, I'm sorry. If you haven't, don't worry about it. You're not missing anything. It's literally a border town on the border with Mexico. There's Nogales, Arizona, and Nogales, Sonora, Mexico. They're divided by a big metal wall. That's it. That's where I grew up. That's where she grew up. And we met in high school. So I had kind of had my eye on her for a while. I was the football player. She was the cheerleader. You guys know how that goes. But I was trying to figure out a way to talk to her. Well, my senior year, her junior year, we were not in the same class, but we ended up being in the same competition. We were in an AP government class. I honestly don't even remember why I was taking the class, but she was on a different period. She had the same class. But our teacher, Mr. Thompson, I still remember him. Thank you very much, Mr. Thompson. He introduced us to a competition, and it was called We the People. And this competition was all centered around your ability to debate certain points of the Constitution. And it sounds really uninteresting. And I'll be honest, I did learn a lot, but it was pretty boring. But it was a requirement for the classes. So we end up getting split up into partners, and each partner has a particular section of the Constitution. And what would happen is you would get into a group and debate particular points, so on and so forth. And that's how the competition went. So you had to learn a lot about, particular articles, so on and so forth. Well, she was not my partner, but we started to have practices after school, and I saw her more and really wanted to get to know her more. Now, a well-experienced and tactful person would have spent some time researching her, getting to know her, and finding out the best way to connect with her, right? Not me, though. I was the very direct, I know what I want and I'm going to go after it, right? So we go to a competition locally in Phoenix, and we end up having to drive up there by bus. I think it was a Saturday. We get up super early. We drive up there. We stop in a podunk town called Casa Grande. And we stopped there for breakfast. And if I remember right, it was a Carl's Jr. She'll correct you, by the way, if you ask her for all these pieces that I miss. And we stop at this Carl's Jr. to get breakfast. And I'm like, now's my chance. So I get my food. I'm sitting down in one spot. She gets her food. She's sitting down with her friends. And I'm like, I'm going to make my move. So I go over to where she's sitting, and she's about to take a bite. I don't know if it was a pancake or a sausage or something. Anyway, whatever it was, she was about to take a bite, and I proceed to slap it out of her hand. Like I knock it out of her hand. And she turns and looks at me, and I just smile at her like, hey. And she's like, go away, right? This was my introduction to our courting. We end up, obviously that didn't go so well for me, but I wasn't giving up, right? We end up going to the competition, and we win the state competition, which gives us now a trip to D.C., Washington, D.C., to compete at the national level. And we were celebrating that we won, and I'm hugging everybody, and I go to hug her, and it was this really awkward, okay, I'm hugging everybody, but why am I hugging you kind of thing? But in my mind, I'm like, sweet, she gave me a hug, right? Check, here we go, down the line. Anyway, long and short of it, on the bus ride back, everybody's sitting with their friends or sitting by herself. She was sitting by herself, and I'm like, well, here's another chance. So I go over and I grab a pillow and proceed to put my head in her lap. At this point, if you aren't cringing, I'm going to just tell you this is not the way to do it. So she's like really uncomfortable. The teacher's kind of looking at her, and I'm just smiling like, hey, this going to work. Long and short, I proceed to follow her around school, magically appear at her classes before the bell rang. She kept trying to avoid me. I kept finding her. Uh, and according to her, she just gave up and finally decided to go out with me. Now, sounds really bad. We've been together 23 years, married 19 years. But the interesting thing happened, right? This was probably the worst way to go about trying to basically get a girlfriend, right? The worst way. If you weren't cringing or laughing or like you're an idiot, if these weren't the thoughts that were going through your mind, then something's wrong, right? This is not the way you do things. But here's the crazy part. What I was trying to do was build the relationship because I wanted to what? Close her, right? Close her to a personal relationship. I wanted to make out with her. I wanted to do other things that boys and girls do, fill in the blanks. But my method of doing it was what? It was very brash. It was very painful. And the likelihood of success, slim to none. Now, I succeeded, and I don't know why, but I did. And she stuck with me. Thank her every single day. But that's not the way to do it. I'm just going to put it out there. That's not the way to do it, right? Here's the connection to business. Right now, you are thinking that this is the best way for you to acquire a client, for you to make a connection, for you to close someone. It's literally like, I'm going to show up right in front of their face. I'm going to be very direct, knock their food out of their hands, try and give them the awkward hug, lay down on their lap, and be that like weird person that never goes away. Put yourself in my wife's shoes. How comfortable would you be if somebody was like that with you? I don't know. I'll be honest, if somebody was like that with me, I would not be very comfortable. In fact, I've had people in business be like that. I mentioned to somebody I'm interested in their thing. Next thing I know, they're sliding on my DMs. They're sending me messages. They're trying to call me. They're trying to, all of these things. And I'm like, whoa. I said I was interested. Like, I don't even know who you are yet. I don't even understand exactly what you're offering. You're literally just trying to slide into my pants, which guys take that the wrong way. They're like, hey, that's cool. Well, not if it's somebody you don't like. But why is it then that we focus on selling that way? Why is it that we focus on, as soon as we identify a potential client, somebody that we want to do business with, we immediately overwhelm them, thinking that that's the best way to get business done. That's the best way to close a client. I want you to consider that really what you're trying to do is connect first and nurture second. Connect first and nurture second. Think about this. Most of the people that come across you do not know who you are. They do not know what you do, and they have no idea if they want to do business with you. So why is it that you try and close them on the first phone call? Hey man, your business sucks. You suck, and I'm going to be the one to help you. It's $5,000 a month. And they're like, wait, what was your name? And they hang up on you. Not the way to do it. So what is the proper way to do it? I want you to start thinking about your business as cultivating a long-term relationship. Why? Because sometimes your clients aren't ready to buy right away. Sometimes it's going to take a period of time. And if they know you're the person that's going to provide value and not overwhelm them and make them feel uncomfortable and make them feel like they have to buy instead of they want to buy, they will leave. They will stop following you. They will unsubscribe from your list. They will quit answering your phone calls. They will block you from everything because you are that creepy guy like I was in high school. How do we go about it then? If we're trying to connect and nurture, well, the first thing is you make a connection. Just a connection. So listen to me. You are not trying to sell them. You are literally just trying to make a connection. That's it. Interesting that in order to do business, you need to have a relationship with them. You're not Coca-Cola. You're not Facebook. You're not Google. You're not Apple. These are recognizable brands who have spent billions of dollars in advertising so that they can what? They can sell you something because you're familiar with them, right? You don't have to know Apple personally to know that they make good products. Why? Because you've seen their ads, because other people have used their things, so on and so forth. So you can't think of yourself as being on their level because you're not. You have to start thinking on the granular one-on-one level. So the first thing you have to do is connect. The next thing you have to do is nurture. Now, what does nurture mean? Nurture means take care of, provide value to. Everybody that I've done business with in the last year and a half has provided value to me on the front end. In other words, they've spent time with me on an hour-long phone call. They've sent me things that have benefited me. They've asked me questions. They've tried to guide me to the right sources, which made me what? It made me feel like they value me, but two, it made me want to do business with me, or made me want to do business with them. Why? Because they weren't trying to sell me right away. Hey, we all know we're all big kids, just like in the dating world. When you're talking to somebody, you're trying to feel and figure out if this relationship is something worth exploring or not. If you're the slick Rick like me and slapping food out of the hands and awkward hugging and laying the head down in the lap, that's the creepy guy. It's funny hearing myself call myself the creepy guy. You don't want to be the creepy guy because the likelihood of you succeeding is slim to none. You want to be the one that provides value, the one that everybody wants to be around because you're always giving stuff away. Those are the people that people want to do business with. It's 2019. Things have changed. You can't just cram automation down someone's throat and expect them to automatically want to do business with you. You have to build a relationship with them first. So after you've connected and after you've nurtured, now you've identified a particular problem that they have. Is that something that you can solve or not? If it is, what's wrong with you helping them solve it? Nothing. And you simply invite them and say, hey, listen, if this is something that you're feeling, if this is something that you're experiencing, I have something that can help you out with that. Now, who would you trust in that particular situation? The creepy guy or the guy who bought you flowers? By the way, I did transition to the guy who bought flowers. You want the guy that buys flowers, right? The guy who spends time building the relationship first. So quit thinking of yourself as being the creepy guy. Start acting like the guy who's willing to invest time, money, and energy to make the relationship work. All right, that's all I got for you today. Listen, every single day we talk about this because it's so important. You have to spend time every single day winning the daily war. And that's taking care of yourself first, taking care of your family, and then ultimately your business. If you're curious more about or want to learn more about what this looks like, reach out to me, DM me, email me, call me. Don't care. I answer on every single medium out there. Let's have a conversation. I'd love to be able to provide some value for you and kind of point you in the right direction. But listen, remember, it's always easier to stay ready than it is to get ready. As always, stay safe, and we'll see you on the next one.